Hey y'all, I'm JamesWright and welcome back to Wizards News. Today we want to talk about the probability of finding different foundables, particularly in the wild. Some of them are very easy, some of them are very hard, and we really want to go through this and dive into the data. Now this is a video I've wanted to make for a while because we've been trying to find what the probability of finding particular foundables are. Some of them you see all the time. Baby hippogriffs, I've seen more than a few of those. Dumbledore's portrait, not so many. So how exactly do we know how often do things occur? What are the rare items and what are the regular items? And I was trying to find a way to compile this. The problem is I have a bias in the game. I see every oddity out there and I open up every one of those. But regular ones, I don't open up every one of them. If I'm not in the mood for opening them up, then I don't open it up. If they have a flare, I'm usually picking on them and I'll pick that one and open it up. And so I have a skew towards the ones that are more difficult, but which ones are more rare? Because most of the time I'm spending my time in a Care of Magical Creatures park, and I do a lot, and they are getting the ins, and most of the things I come up against are Care of Magical Creatures. And because of that, I'm a little biased towards one or the other, and I'm not a very good method of tracking which ones are actually the most common. So on the Wizards News Hivemind Discord server, which there's a link to that down below, Doctor Who came up to me and said, hey, I've actually been keeping track of that. And if you know anything about him, he either goes by Dr. Za or Doctor Who on Discord. He is a very, very high-level player who started with the main release. And I believe he's up to level 41 right now, so he is a serious player. But one of the interesting things is he goes after every single foundable he sees. Rather than just passing over them and going from one to the other, he goes after every single foundable. And so because of that, his data is very credible as to which ones you're going to be finding more often. And he said, hey, I made a sheet about it. Do you want to see it? And I said, yes, please. So I don't know if you know this, but I am a big fan of data sheets and more information. And Doctor Who actually broke this down by each family. So we have the Care of Magical Creatures, and then it's broken down by the page that they're on. So we have Hagrid's Hut, the Pumpkin Patch, and the Forbidden Forest, the 4 pages you'd come across in your registry. And it has been broken down for all of that all the way down here. And you'll notice that they're color-coded as well. The white ones are low, this light goldenrod are the medium, the yellow are high, the orange are severe, and the bright red are the emergency. So everything is broken down that. And then for Dr. Za, you can actually see over here, he went and broke down his pages as to how he has prestiged them. So as you can see, all of these columns up here to the total are his data. But then I went and put in my data so I could compare against where he is at and see what the differences are. If we come down here to the bottom, we can see the totals here, and you can see that Doctor Who has seen 19,000 encounters, whereas I've only seen 4,000 encounters. So there's a lot more accurate data from his sheets than mine. Another thing I want to also notice is the oddities here. The werewolf counter is broken, so the numbers on how many you've seen on that are way off, as well as you're probably going to be seeing a different number of oddities if you do a lot of pixie hunting, which he has done a lot of pixie hunting, and you can see how many pixies he's found. So your oddity numbers are probably going to be a bit different, and I wouldn't trust these as much, but the rest of them are pretty close to accurate. I will leave a link to this spreadsheet down below so you can actually go and see that and compare to yourself, as well as down below he has these broken out with a page for each one so you can go through and see a little bit more detailed information and general totals on each one of those. So in the Care of Magical Creatures, Buckbeak is by far the least common seen, which is interesting in this one because he's only seen 2 and I've only seen 2, even though my percentage is much higher at 0.04 and his is down at 0.01. But Hagrid, which is the one emergency in all of Care of Magical Creatures, is still second place, but it's much easier than the Buckbeak apparently. This just goes to show you that the difficulty level does not always correspond with rarity. If we come down here to Hogwarts schools, this is one of the interesting ones here because the portrait of Albus Dumbledore, this is the rarest thing in all the field. He has only seen 1 out of the almost 20,000 finds he's come across. I still have not seen it. It is the only thing that I have not come across. So as far as we know, this is the most rare thing, and it is a severe in here as opposed to an emergency. But some people have been saying that this actually comes across as a medium in the game, so it doesn't have a flare on top. So if you aren't picking all of them, you may not come across this one. Young Harry Potter is also an extremely rare one. I've seen one and he's seen one. But that being said, again, it's a severe, it's not an emergency. Whereas down here, the emergency Albus Dumbledore, I've seen one and he's seen 4. So it's a little bit more common. So if you want to compare your stats to these, it's fairly easy. Just download this chart and you can actually come up here to File and then make a copy right here. And so you can copy it out, make your own sheet on there. And what you can do is go over here to your registry and then click on any particular item and say, let's see, Hagrid here. How many have you seen? I've seen 7 of them. And so you just come over here and enter 7. Or you could replace all my numbers and then enter that in to compare them there. So we can actually go through your entire list and see every item on here. Let's see, how many boggart cabrets have I come across? I've seen 19 of them. And so you can enter that in. This just makes it a little bit fun to track your information against what is out there. And this is probably the best chart that I've seen thus far, the least unbiased of all of them. So I'm really, really happy with how this came out. And it's a lot of fun to dive into and actually go and look at things of, wow, I didn't realize that was so rare. Professor McGonagall, 7/1, or as opposed to the Albus Dumbledore portrait, which is incredibly rare. Also, the nice thing about tracking your scene rate is it's separate from the Wizarding Challenges rate. So if you do happen to get a Foundable in your Wizarding Challenges, that does not count towards your scene number. So I hope you find this information as fun as I do. It's really kind of interesting just to dive into it and take a look at what's on there and what the reality is. Why haven't I seen this so much? Oh, that's something that's incredibly rare. I hope you like this kind of information. If you did, please let me know down below. Also, if there's something particular you'd like to see or something you saw in this data that I didn't, I'd love to hear that. If you did like the video, please hit like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell. All those fun things really do help out the channel, and thank you for that. That does mean a lot to me. I don't take on any sponsors on this channel. I'm completely supported by you, the viewers, so thank you for that, and particularly thank you to the patrons who help out with that. So I think that's about it for now, and until next time, have a magical day. So if the portrait of Albus Dumbledore is so rare, what do you think the chances are of me of getting a portrait of Albus Dumbledore here? Helga Hufflepuff.